This is what Wargaming has given us in World of Tanks Blitz Reforged when it comes to the tech trees. And I'll be honest, it's pretty awful. This page, you have to do so much scrolling. And by the way, I have a big monitor. Somebody on their phone that's scrolling through all of these different, tanks, it's just a mess. It really is. Look at how much of a mess this is, all right? Now, we have this mess. Let's compare that to what I think the tech tree should look like. And you guys can let me know in the comments which of the two do you think looks better. This version of tech trees or what Wargaming has put into the game. It's accomplishing the exact same thing, yet this just looks awful. And I find it very ironic because the lead dev said they are trying to make the game more simple. What? This looks awful. It's all right if you remove the collectors. It's still pretty messy though. Like, it's not great. This is not great. If you compare this to the current tech trees we have in our version of the game, this looks awful. There's spaces which exist for no reason. The lines start just randomly. Look at this, right? We have the Churchill 1, Churchill 7, and Black Prince, and then it just stops. That's it. This whole line of tanks, or set, should I say, starts at the Churchill, goes to the Black Prince. That's all you can grind. If you want to get to the Carnarvon Conqueror and 2 and 5B, you have to grind an entirely different set. Why? Why is this the case, Wargaming? Literally, the Black Prince and Churchill play all the same as the Carnarvon, and they're literally all similar tanks. It doesn't make sense why you have this split here. And that's not the only one. See the Cromwell? You're probably wondering, why is there a missing tank here? Well, that's because the LTTB is in this set. Yeah, that's right. The LTTB is in a British set. So if we go over to Russia, you'll see there's just a random LTTB, like, sitting here. And again, like, if we put on the Premium Collector tab, I'm sorry, this just... Look how much scrolling there is. What is this? Why are there just random tanks all around? It's even worse when you go over to this page and the amount of scrolling you have to do. This random scepter that's just placed here, the Destiny over here. Like, I'm going to be honest, Wargaming. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's very confusing, and it is a serious problem. The solution is what I'm showing you here. I have a fan, which is Vodsta. I'm bad at pronunciation, but either way, this fan went out, listened to my advice to Wargaming on how I would fix the tech trees and make the game make more sense, and this is exactly what they've done. And believe it or not, it takes what was that absolute mess of a tech tree set system, and it actually makes it look good. As I told Wargaming, they need to have a separate slot for premiums and collectors. And that is done exactly here. Look at that. We have the tank destroyers and the heavies, and it goes down just like it should in the tier. We have the tier 9s. We have the tier 10s. We have the... Look how nice and clean this looks. You make your way over to the tech trees, and it looks exactly like it should. It starts with the Covenanter, goes to the Cromwell, splits off to the Comet, which goes to the 4202, and splits off to the Sherman Firefly, which goes to the FE31, Vickers CR, and Vickers Light. Wow, doesn't that look normal? The Matilda goes all the way to the FE2 and 5B, which is how it should work. The AT2 goes to the AT8, which splits off to the AT7, all the way to the Alligator, which is what it should be. And then you have the Challenger goes to both the 4005 and the 183. Honestly, remove the frickin' 183, put it in its own set for all I care, and make a tier 6, 7, and a bunch of other vehicles which have high alpha and play like the 183. And this isn't the only nation of tanks that we have here. We also have the American tree. Look at how clean this looks. Starts at the M8A1, goes to the Wolverine, splits off to the E4, splits off to the T110E3. Right? We have the Chaffee, which goes to the Sheridan. The M3 Lee goes to the M6, to the T29 goes to the E5. And then we have the M6 splits off to the M7 Yo and goes all the way to the M6 Yo. You have the M7 goes to the M48 Patton. And you have the T37 goes to the T57. And again, if we look at Wargaming's version of sets, we go over to the tech tree, we go over to America, look at how much worse this looks. T25AT just starts right here. The Jackson, like, why is the Hellcat just randomly here? Why does the Jackson not go with the T25AT, and why does the Hellcat not go to the T25-2 all the way up? It doesn't make sense. I don't know. T29 starts here because they wanted to add the M6 as a tech tree tank for some reason, even though it was previously a premium. By the way, Wargaming, are you going to compensate players for this? I don't know. Kind of weird. But either way, we got all these weird things going on, right? Look at this. The T-37 and T-71, that's it. Two tanks. Because this also combines with the AMX set. Why? I don't know. I really don't. It's very confusing. It's very, very confusing. The French tree is definitely the worst when it comes to being split. You have the AMX 1375, doesn't go to the 1390. Why? They're all the exact same playstyle, and yet you set them into two separate lines. It doesn't make sense. The AMX M445 should go to the AMX 5100. And it's so confusing. It really is. I mean, this is what the French tree should look like. It should be one simple set there, one simple set here, one simple set here, one simple set here. Super easy. This is what the Russian tree should look like. SU-85 goes to the SU-100, splits off into two separate options. Same for the T-28, splits off from the KV1, goes to the KV1S to the IS-7, and then the KV2 goes to the IS-4. Same thing with the A-20, T-54 splits off to the Object 140 and 62A, and same thing for the MT-25 going to the LTG, LTTB, and then to the T-100LT. And then you have the German tree. I want you to look really quickly at how clean this looks, and then let's go look at Wargaming's version of the German tree. You ready? What is this? What is this? So Tiger P just stops. It doesn't go to the VK-45. It's just cut off. The Jagdpanther 2 no longer can get to a tier 10. It just stops at the Jagdpanther 2. Why? I don't know. Bruh, look at how much better this looks. It's so much better like this. Goes from the Hetzer to the Stug, and then it splits off to the grill, and it splits off to the Jagdpanzer 100. Wow, what a shocker. It plays normally. And honestly, I don't even mind getting rid of the Ferdinand. Like, who cares anyway? Turn the Ferdinand into a collector. We don't need it. You have the Panzer 4D, goes to the Tiger P, splits off. Okay, makes sense. You have the DW2, goes all the way down to the Tiger, boom, done. Panzer 3-4 goes all the way down to the 50M, boom, done. VK-30-01D goes all the way down to the Leopard, boom, done. Luke's goes all the way down to the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, done. You want to see how bad Wargaming is on their own set design? The VK-30-01D does not grind to the VK-30-02D. No, it grinds to the Panther. No, it would only be common sense for the VK-30-01D to go to the VK-30-02D. That would make too much sense. And it would only make too much sense for the VK-30-02M, which is literally an early stage Panther prototype, to go to the Panther. No, that would only make too much sense in Brain Cellville. Bro, what are we doing here, Wargaming? The design of the tech trees, which I've shown here, is such a better way to go around it. It is so much better to do this route. It is so much easier to look at. It makes so much more sense. This is how the tech trees should be made in Reforged. This is how they should be done. It, like, bruh, I shouldn't have to say this. And this here, this is the European tree. Okay, so we have the Semavente goes to the Minnow. This goes to the Rhino, goes to the 60TP, goes to the VZ. This goes all the way down to the Kron. This goes down to the Progetto. Look how clean this looks, right? And then you have your premiums down here, which you can select on or off. I personally think that you should, if you check on premiums, it gets rid of the tech tree, and then it just shows the premiums. But either way, this looks completely fine, right? You go over to Wargaming's version of the European tech tree, just the Emil to the Kron, that's it. The Leo, these whole Swedish tanks just stop at tier 7. These are better, though, right? This is definitely better. Except for this, bruh. The Basoto, that's it. Just two tanks, bruh. Because it goes to the Jagdpanther. I just don't understand it. Wargaming said that they want to make the game less nation-based. And I understand that, but it doesn't really make sense. The game is really dictated by what tanks are best at the current moment, right? The European nation, the Kron, is currently the most played heavy tank in tier 10. Not the 100, it's the Kron, which is really surprising. But it shows that you have nations like Europe, which a Kron, a Swedish tank, I can't imagine there's many Swedish players out there, Wargaming, that are playing Blitz, yet the Kron is one of the most played tanks currently in the game. Why is that the case? Probably because these players know the Kron's great and they're playing it. Same thing when you buff the TVP, same thing with the E50M, same thing when you overbuff the 113 GFT. Players, for the most part, are playing tanks that are performing strong. Now, yes, I know that you're saying beginners are going for tanks that are based off of nationality more than tanks that are based off of their performance. And I understand that. And it's why I don't disagree with the sets page here. I actually think that this is all fine. I think you need to change the name of these and make them nation based, but I really like the way you have heavy tanks here and it shows you all the heavy tank sets. I like the fact that you can go to the all tanks tab and you can check on ultimate armor and then have, well, I'm sorry, the E4 is not ultimate armor. But I do like the fact that you have vehicles that have a lot of armor. I like the fact that you can check on tough turret. Okay, the BZ-75 does not have a tough turret, but I do like the fact that you have the opportunity to select these options and customize your tanks accordingly. Bro, why is there a light tank and tough turret war game? Okay, either way, I do like this. And if you actually listen to players like myself on how to balance these options, the game will be really, really fine in that category. I think it's great that players can look at tanks that will suit their playstyle. If I was a brand new player, it would be great for me to click on high hit points and be able to play like the mouse at the U100 or these vehicles that have a lot of hit points or I make my way over to rapid fire and I want to play the Badger or the Leopard. I think this is great. But the way that you've designed the tech trees is not great. And the way that these sets are implemented in the tech trees are not great. These icons here, remove them. There's literally no reason for them to exist at all. I don't understand why these icons exist. The Mischief of Mouse, Steel Front Brigade. What do these bring? What do these bring to the game? Look at this here, right? You have this very clean thing. You have no icons here. Compare that to this. Why do we need these icons? They don't look when you go to the sets page and you click on this collections tab, what does this bring to the player? Nobody's going to memorize this. Like, what is this, a cannon? So this goes to the BZ. What about this cannon? Where did it even go? What about this cannon reminds me of China? Nothing. These need to go. This whole page, remove the collections page, remove these stock photo PNGs to begin with, remove them. Then fix the tech trees, make the UI more streamlined, combine some of the sets, like I've shown, and the player base will be a lot more accepting. Keys, I don't agree with, but if you at least make them easy to get, then I don't have a problem with players unlocking them and not speeding through 8 different lines at once. But the way that the tech trees have been organized right now need to be fixed. And it's not that hard to do it. You just have to do a little bit of reorganizing, change some of the tanks and some of the sets around. You don't have to do anything crazy. That's my personal opinion, but it is an opinion that I think a lot of players are going to agree with. And you can let me know what you feel in the comments. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.